I want to talk to you about how to deal with some of the symptoms of anxiety. And I suppose here I'm not talking about clinical levels of anxiety, but when those worries in your head just start to get a little bit out of control. It's something that's very common, and it's something that I work with a lot, both within sport and also for students. So the first thing, just like anything else we need to do, is to identify exactly what is worrying you. I have a client at the moment who is about to go away to university, for example, and he is very anxious about what the future might hold for him. And I said to him, well, what is it exactly that's worrying you? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, that's the first thing we need to do, is to sort out what are the fears. And that when we actually looked at it and we put the old microscope on what it was that was worrying him, it was actually that sense of in those first few weeks, the fact there was so much to do that it was going to be overwhelming. So thinking about that then, is it something that you can control? Is it something that he can control? Can he do anything about this or not? Now, from his perspective, absolutely. Because we can put together a to-do list and we can make it achievable, we can make it bite-size, and it's something, therefore, we can minimize that worry and minimize that anxiety. So we exert control and we exert influence over the things that we can, and we call that problem-focused coping, right? And it is exactly the same when it comes to studying as well. Okay, for your exams, what exactly is worrying you about your exams? Is it the fact that you have so much to do and that you're never going to be able to do it? Is it the fact that you know that you're perhaps not a natural studying person and that you're really going to struggle with it? Is it perhaps the fact that everybody opens their results and that you're worried about failing? So where can we exert control over those things in terms of perhaps with your preparation for study, to break things down into bite-sized pieces, to make sure that you have fully understood and remembered and also can apply that information in all of your preparation in an exam situation. And then when you walk into the exam hall, you've got control over that voice in your head that's going, yes, I can. I know the stuff and I've prepared really well. There are times when we also need to manage emotion around things that we can't control. For example, we can't control exactly what questions are going to come up in the exam. We can maximize those chances, but we don't know it for sure. So what we have to do is to maintain a calm around it. So with my student who is off to university, there is some stuff that we can't anticipate, that we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know what sort of people he's going to be living with, for example. So what we have to do is to manage the emotions so that that anxiety doesn't get out of control. And we can do that with different sorts of techniques. We can do that, for example, with distraction. And because we go, okay, there's nothing we can do about it, so we're not going to think about it. We're going to think about something else entirely and go and do something that you enjoy, that makes you feel happy. Also, we can remove ourselves from the source of something. So if we're around people or situations, for example, that it's making you feel really stressed, but there's nothing that you can do because it's another person's behavior, then we can just take ourselves away from that, remove ourselves from the source of that stress. It's not always possible, though, to do that. It's in an ideal situation we can remove ourselves, but we can't always do it, and we don't always want to do it either. So I suppose the next strategy to think about is to face something head on with a very clear plan, and to think to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to be caught off guard. I know I tend to get anxious when I walk into a party of new people that I haven't met before, but next time that happens, I'm going to have a really clear plan for how I'm going to go about doing that. How am I going to walk in, shoulders back, smile on my face, walking up to maybe one person that I know, saying, hello, it's good to see you again. So think to yourself, what are some of those strategies that you can use to put in place a plan for next time when you know that actually taking yourself out of the situation is not the best sort of option for you at that point. And also reflect and learn. Think to yourself, what's worked in the past? When have you been able to overcome that anxiety in the past? And I think of some of the students that I've worked with when they've been able to do exactly that. And sometimes they've been successful because they've been able to change that voice in their head to the yes, I can do, as opposed to I'm really scared about doing that. So reflect and learn on the things that work for you, and really use those points of achievement when you start finding yourself being able to manage that anxiety, that worry, and doing things that perhaps you haven't been able to do before, or you didn't think you were able to do before. And as I always say, if the anxiety is too much, then ask for help when it's needed as well.